One thing, Ace, please don't make a trap record.
No.
I don't have room for that.
No.
I'm playing.
Not on my music. I mean, Marco ain't gonna make no beat like that, so I ain't gotta worry.
All right, so we're good.
Are you working on a new project with Marco now?
Yes. Well, working on is, I don't know if that's the right word. I'm sitting on I'm sitting on about 15 or 16 beats that I like or love. That's our process. He sends me beats every two or so a week. I say yay or nay or maybe. I tuck them away. I listen to them here and there, and then I start to gradually figure out what I want to spit. So he sent me there's a couple of beats I've been sitting on for probably a year maybe that he sent me, but he just sent me one the other day, and I already wrote a verse to it. Like that's how it is. It was an instant like, oh, this is gonna be the first joint. So I wrote a verse to it. I actually recorded it. It's a rough. It ain't gonna be the final vocals, but I wanted him to see it, hear it, and then figure out where we're gonna go with it. We'll get there though.
Word. Can't wait.
All right, so I brought in a new guest.
Hey.
His name is Josh Tower.
What's up, Josh?
What's up, Josh?
He's an actor.
What's up, Masta? How you doing? How y'all doing, man? What's up, everybody?
Josh.
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I will let you introduce yourself, just because I'm sure you'll do a better job than me at it. So if you don't mind, just introduce who you are.
What's up? Hey, y'all, I'm really happy to be here. My name is Josh Tower. I play Aaron Burr in Hamilton on the first national tour of Hamilton. So we're, of course, on a break now because ain't nobody seeing theater. So I'm at home in New York City, chilling in Manhattan and Uptown. And yeah, I'm happy to be here. You know, I was talking to these guys earlier this week about, the kingpins of years gone by, and Ace, you're one of those people. So it's really an honor to be here, and for you guys to do this. It's cool, man. I mean, just to talk about this stuff, the stuff that's relevant, the stuff that has been the roots of the stuff that is now, that exists right now. It's cool, man. So I'm glad to be here.
It's good to have you, man.
Welcome.
Right, so
yeah, how was that Hamilton experience? Sheesh. How did you get there?
Oh man, I was listening on Twitch a little earlier to Ace talking about kind of being that underdog, and I'm also one of those guys in my business who is not on a list. I'm no legend. I'm not like you. I'm no legend.
Not yet.
But I'm not on any list. I've always been the underdog, and so I'm the guy who like kind of comes from behind it. You know what I mean? Like I'm that guy. So they basically early on in Hamilton they said that. I helped to originate George Washington, this role that my friend Chris Jackson did, and it was great being involved early on, listening to all the rhymes, listening to Lynn and Alex Lackamore write all this stuff. Lynn's brain is crazy, as any great artist. To watch a great artist work is a special thing. I mean, you were talking about Marley Marl. I'm talking about, people watching you, Ace, do your thing and talking about your process. Watching geniuses work is a special, special gift. So you just sit back, you just take a little note here and there, you just quiet. But the journey's been great. So anyway, long story short, they kept wanting me to go in for George Washington even after Chris originated it. And I finally said, no, look, if you want me to do this, I said through my agent, if you want me to do it, give it to me, but I'm not coming back in. Like, you know what I can do. My skills as far as those particular rhymes and all that stuff. So that didn't work out, but I said, if Aaron Burr comes up, it's kind of a better role. So I was like, let me jump in on that. A better role for me, I should say. It's just kind of vocally, and it's just a better fit for me. So, yeah, man. So I got in there, made it out, and been on the road for a little over a year until this whole COVID thing started. So I was supposed to finish at Christmas time.
Did you rap before you got this role? Did you rap before this?
No, a fan of rap, but not. I am not somebody who could you could say go ahead and lay something down. I'm not that person. I'm an actor, so I can kind of absorb what is given me, but I can't. On some level, I can't just lay down a rhyme. I would need time, to listen to a beat, come up with some lyrics, but I couldn't freestyle in there or anything like that. But as far as a big fan, yeah, go.
Well, the reason I was asking that is because I'm writing a musical right now, a hip hop musical that's based on 3 of my albums, and we're still at in the writing stages, the songwriting stages. But I'm wondering when the time comes for auditions, are actors going to be able to come in and say these rhymes with the right energy, the right, am I going to be stuck with, man, do I need it? Am I going to get rappers that can't act or actors that can't rap? Am I going to be stuck in
I think on some level, you'll get some of them who definitely can, because, words are what we do, as far as speaking. But to get your words and to get them the way that you want someone to do them, it's just you'll know the fit. You'll just be like, oh, that's it. But there'll probably be a lot of, no, come on, man. But in New York, the New York area, you're going to get a lot of people who come in, and they're either going to fit one way or another. And you're going to, as far as, oh, they're a great actor, but they can't rap, or man, they can rap, but damn, they can't act. Then you're going to get that synergy between the two, who you're like, okay, this guy or this girl, however you do it, they've got both of them. So let's, put them in that bucket, and keep them on hold,
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it's, these guys are telling me about this piece that you're working on. I mean, that's great. I think especially now, I think what a Black man has to say is absolutely profound. And while you might be new to the theater, you've been around, and you have not been around for a decade. You've been around for 3-4 decades, so that's great.
3.
Yeah. 3.
Not retiring yet.
So Ace, exactly where are you? Not exactly, but where are you in the process with that?
Yeah, so I'm working closely with a hip hop theater company called Rhymes Over Beats. I've been assigned a dramaturg, and we meet once a week via Zoom, and we're over a year now of doing this. And even when I'm on tour, we meet. I'm in a hotel room somewhere in weird times, but we meet over the phone, and we read through the script up to the point that I'm at. She gives me feedback. I go back and I try to rework. I take her suggestions, rework those into, and continue on. So we're at the point now where we've actually had our first table read. It was a really loose table read. There was no casting. It was just people that were willing to come in that are actors that can sit in front of a script and just read, just so we could hear what it would sound like. And we did that back in, I want to say, that was in March, right before the lockdown happened.
Right.
And then, so after that table read, we liked where we were script wise. It has to be shortened a little bit, but we liked where we were. And now, then she said, okay, now from this point forward, now start working on the music. So now that's what I've been doing for the last 3 months, is creating these songs and the lyrics. And so we meet every week. I let her hear a new song that I've worked on. I'm basically just doing rough vocals so she can kind of hear the song, where the lyrics are going. And then she gives me feedback. Oh, I think this character needs to be more emotional, whatever this and that. And I go back. So that's the process. And that's where we're working on the songs.
And that's pretty brilliant, because I tell you, Holla If You Hear Me, the Tupac musical that happened and then went down pretty fast. Yeah. They tried to take his music, and they didn't make it about Tupac. Like, if it was about his life, I feel like it might have gone farther. People could have been interested, but it's so specific to Tupac. And then they tried to force his music onto a story rather than writing original rhymes for the story, which is like, that's a new thing, man. So that's cool. And that's where, like, Lin-Manuel, who is such a huge fan of rap, where he comes in and is he like writes about history, like something everybody can hook into. It's all about that story. And every musical that has failed is about not having a good story. You know, sometimes you're like, damn, the music was so good, but that story, damn. And so you lose people if you don't have both. So for you to write something original for the story is special. Like you've already, to me, like you're already off on the right foot. I mean, that's it.
Yeah, people thought that I was gonna be taking songs from those albums and inserting them into the story, but that's not what I'm doing. I'm writing all new songs for the story that I'm trying to tell.
That's great. That's great. There's too many jukebox musicals right now, you know, where they take the songs already and they just plant them on a story because they want that quick buck. But I think telling the story is more important, and that's what rap has done throughout its history. You know, each song is a story in itself. You know, so I think that's important to do that for your story.
Right, exactly. Thank you.
So Ace, what's your goal? Like, what do you hope that the audience takes from the final product?
I hope they're entertained, number one. You know, the albums that I've been putting out over the, last several years, I've tried to create albums that were entertaining from beginning to end, where the skits are part of the experience of the album. And so it's kind of like this musical is kind of the reverse process. Whereas on my albums, I create the songs and then I turn around and I write skits to fit between the songs to tell a story. Now it's the reverse. I'm writing a script, telling a story, and then creating the music to go in between the character's dialogue.
Awesome. The book.
Yeah.
I find the skits on this one the most entertaining out of all these.
Really?
Yeah. They're just cool. I don't know. I can picture myself. Yeah, I don't know. I can picture it.
Okay.
Like when you scratch the record, like, oh man, that's a wrap. I'm in trouble. Like I felt that. Like.
Can't be scratching mom's records.
No.
Absolutely not. Hey, for someone that's not that in tune with theater, can we break down where hip hop has landed in theater? Like, are we far into it and I just need a late pass, or is it just getting better? Yeah.
No, I think it's getting better. I mean, I think there is the hip hop is the language between speaking and song, like singing. There's that hip hop is the entire middle ground, And so I think it has always had a place. I think there's a lot, East Coast, West Coast, Chicago, Detroit, we've always kind of known all this, but everything in between, at least many places, it's taken some time. And whether it be 30 years or, from the onset, or, it's just taken time for people to get used to it. But now it's in every suburban home,
everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's really permeated the Americana. It is part of Americana now. It's part of our fabric.
Yeah.
So I think Broadway, these theater and stuff like that has caught on, and I think Lin-Manuel, has been a big part of that, as such a fan of rap, and he is such an extensive fan. He has so many flavors that he likes, so many artists that he likes. But he grew up uptown. We're in Washington Heights. He's actually my neighbor. He's right down the street. And so we're up here, and the culture has always been around. It's always been here, through Harlem, Brooklyn, Queens. Like it is the city. It's been part of the city for so long. So it's cool to see it really become part of the great white way, and we're working on that, and
So we went through Masta Ace's catalog a while ago, thanks to Scrick, and so could you just possibly, Josh, could you just tell us who else you've played in shows?
Yeah. I mean, I was a Disney kid for a while. I was Simba in Lion King for half a decade, 6 years.
Right.
I played Barry Gordy in Motown, so I got a chance to work with Mr. Gordy pretty closely. I did both of those on Broadway, and a lot of regional stuff, television and film stuff. But most recently it has been Aaron Burr, and then prior to that, Berry Gordy in Motown, which is not unlike talking about the you guys creating symphony. The artists at Motown, they just had that one little studio space in the house in Motown in Detroit, and they would all step in there and they would like just play a little bit and then sing or do a little doo-wop and like start throwing all these tracks together, and they built it exactly the same way. Like that's how artists do it. Like that's how the magic happens, the synergy of like, oh shit, I didn't know sorry, I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. I didn't know I was gonna rap today, or I didn't know I was gonna play or sing or whatever, but
Nice.
I don't know if I was
ready.
supposed to say that.
Can we talk about fan reaction to like once you put a project together and you put it out into the world, you realize that it's not yours anymore. It now belongs to the people. Right. Like they take the project and they incorporate it into themselves, and I don't know, it just becomes a soundtrack to the day. Like I said earlier, like it seems like your albums and your projects kind of land at just the right moment. Like, man, there ain't nothing to listen to, and boom, here we go. We got this going.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Like, what's your experience meeting fans? I know you made the song. I want to talk about. I missed this too. We got to get Ed on here.
Yeah.
And you actually made the song, fans and all that. Like, how's your response when you're going around? Are they younger fans? Are you meeting like 18-year-olds that are like, yo?
That's been the beauty of this experience and this time period in my career, is the fact that because I've continued to drop music, every time I drop a new album, a new batch of 18, 19, 20-year-olds who didn't know me before now discover me, and they go, who's this guy?
Right.
And they connect to that album for the rest of their lives. So now, I dropped Disposable Arts in 01. I dropped Long Hot Summer in 04. Most recently, we were in Europe, and there's 18, 19-year-old kids in the front row of the show because of a Brooklyn story. And then I have 35-year-olds coming up to me saying, yo, man, Long Hot Summer, when that dropped, I was 15, and that was like and so it's like I got married, last year, and so he was a kid when he heard this album, and now he has a wife and a kid,
right.
And so they're growing up with the music. If I stop making records after, if Sitting on Chrome was my last album, I wouldn't have these fans at these ages right now.
Correct.
So it continuing to drop music and music that people like has really been the thing that has carried my career these last 19 years.
Right. So we get to at the end of Disposable Arts, we get to no regrets. And you're kind of acknowledging like, look, I put down this, if I don't make another record past this, like I put down I put my best foot forward, and I remember listening to that song like, oh, please don't let this be the last one. Please don't let this be the last one. And thank God we're at this point.
I wrote it. I wrote it with that in mind, though. I wrote it with with the mindset that this might be my swan song, and so I want to make sure I say it all, make sure people know. And so that was my mindset writing that song, and I didn't know that that album would turn out the way it did and have the reaction that it did and extend my career in the way that it did.
I could just speak for the fandom. It was just like, it was so great. Like, everything we transitioned in the 2000 and to get a new record from you was like, boom. And again, hey, who was homeboy again on the skits? Your roommate?
Paul Barman. Paul from Saskatchewan.
Brooklyn.
He's an actual artist, though. He's an actual artist. Look him up, Paul Barman.
I had seen some YouTube stuff with him. Yeah, okay. I'm aware who he was. Yeah, all right. Those were also funny skits. Yeah.
So according to what I'm hearing in this interview, so is it safe to say that you get more love in the UK?
Europe, period. Europe, period.
So you get. So why is it? Do you think that you get more love in Europe than you do here in America? Like, why is that?
Like I was saying earlier, America is really based on commercial success, meaning the radio and the TV. If they don't, if U.S. fans don't hear it on the radio, see it on TV, they don't think it exists. And Europe is not built that way. Europe, these fans, they seek out music. They seek out, they seek out anything that they think is good, and they don't need to see it on TV or hear it on the radio to know that it exists. And when they hear it and they like it, they share it with their friends. Disposable Arts and the Long Hot Summer were spread organically through, at the time, MySpace and Facebook and all of whatever the websites were at that time. The fans spread it throughout, and that's how it came to be what it became, because it was an organic thing.
I think also in Europe, art is held in such a high regard. Artists of all kinds, and it is like in the U.S. It's such a capitalist society. If you're not in somebody's face on TV or the top of a list somewhere, nobody listens to you. But in Europe, people really seek it out. I mean, I'm across the river from Jersey, but in Europe, that's like going from Italy to Spain. You know what I mean? Or like France from London to Paris. It's all proximity, different languages, and people connect to the music, all kinds of music, and they'll sit and talk about it and drink wine over it. And it's just very different in the States, for sure. And that's coming from someone who's not in the recording industry, but just as an artist who recognizes that, for sure.
Absolutely. He hit it right on the head.
As a cat who's like laid the groundwork for so many people, do you have like, I don't want to say like who's your favorite young artist, but do you have, 3, 4, 5 people who you're like, damn, I like their stuff? For me, like I like to go, my guys are all throwback, like Common and Mos Def, and like it's all throwback. But do you have particular artists now that you're like, yeah, I like that cat, that's cool?
There's one kid in particular, and I discovered him because my daughter, who we don't have a lot of hip hop conversations. Like because I don't want to tell her what she should listen to, so I kind of let her find her way. But she came to me last year. She's like, the first time she ever came to me with a music suggestion, she said, I like this rapper, I want you to check him out. And it was this kid, YBN Corday. And I listened to him, and I was like, the more I listened to him, I was like, yo, this kid can rhyme. She's like, she started smiling. I told you. I said, yo. So, I like that kid. I like him a lot. But there's a few other cats. Eyceurokk to me is dope. What's my other guy? Man, I always draw blanks. There's a few talented dudes, man. I'll think of it while we're talking. But yeah, absolutely, cool. Man. That's cool. But YBN Corday, if y'all don't know about him, everybody got quiet when I said his name.
No, I'm looking. I wrote it down.
He's dope.
You got it. That's cool.
He's dope, and he's a good mixture of kind of the new sound and the boom bap sound. He mixes it up pretty good, and all the bars are on point.
Yeah,
he does and intelligent.
Yeah, he works with a producer that's actually based out of Providence that's relocated out west now. That goes by Bongo, by the way.
Okay.
Super talented. He's working with a lot of artists. Yeah, man. The kid Jeremiah and a lot of singers. This kid Ant Clements, who's off the wall. Super talented songwriter. But he did a few joints on YBN Corday's last project. He did some joints on Game's past couple albums as well. But yeah, Providence got a lot of talent too, man. A lot of talented MCs out here too. I have a question for both Ace and for Josh that that's kind of like theater related. So even now, right? Even like with the Hamiltons, you know what I'm saying? Like the theater audience, you know what I mean? Like at least in my experience, is still like predominantly white. You know what I mean? How do we encourage fanship? And I'm hoping that, you know what I'm saying, like with like because Ace with creating a musical, and I know Black Thought's working on something as well that I heard about. I'm hoping that, you know, the fans of your music end up, you know, being the ones that support the musical, the play. But like, you know, on a larger scale, how do you envision like the growth and the transition to being able to make it where folks are like, you know, more open to going out?
My plans for in my perfect world, my musical would open in London, and I would have it start in Europe. I would open in London and then maybe go to Germany, then maybe go to Switzerland. These are all the places that I've toured with over the last 20 years, just about performing. And so I know without a doubt that those fans are going to come out and see this. And so, you know, maybe we do, you know, two weekends in one city, then we move to another city, move to do 2 weekends there. It might not be like a Broadway type run where you're out there for 6 months. But I think that we would want to really cut our teeth in Europe first and really get a real feel for it, and then let word of mouth travel back to the US. And let the US fans kind of find out what's happening over there and go, oh, word, Ace got word, people, oh, wow. And that's really the way to get people interested here. That's my route, though.
Yeah, that seems smart to me. That whole Tina Turner thing that just happened here on Broadway, and it's stopped, but that started in Europe. That was on the West End in London, and a lot of the good ones kind of cut their teeth there because audiences are more receptive, and theater is less expensive. You know, you can't bring a black family down from Harlem anywhere at, you know, I mean, $75 is what it used to be. Now Hamilton's like $150 a pop. How are you gonna come down dinner and spend $600 on a dang on show? I mean, that's just tough.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
I think there's a bunch of but in Europe, there's much more theater for less money. You know, like the ticket price itself. Yeah, I'm not saying it's cheap, but it's less expensive. So you're already going to get some people to come in. But I think it's really smart, you know, to start in Europe. I mean, that's a great way to do it. And like I said before, it's all about the story. You know, that's why Hamilton has succeeded, because they literally took the story of this country and they put brown people in it, and also let everybody know that those white men who were the founding fathers were not from here. They were also immigrants. You know, they were not American. So, you know, people through our history, and we all know how history classes are in school, there's a whole portion that is left out. You know, there's a lot of, you know, connecting dots to things where, you know, a lot of us, especially as Black people, were like, wait a minute, they can't all have like done, so Columbus didn't discover America because there were people already here. So he couldn't have done that. You know what I mean? Like, there's all that stuff that you recognize when you're older and you go, okay, we got a little bamboozled. But I think Europe, bring it over, boom, you got something special. You know, that's the plan. Yeah, that's it.
And it ties in with the you already know the success you can have. I think that part of the music, the fact that you can go over there and tour a record and have all this success, I think you're right. You go over there and you just have it blow up and bring it back over, you know.
Yeah, and even if you don't bring it back over and it stays on the West End, right? That's all good. I mean, you don't
the pound is stronger than the dollar.
Facts. Ooh. Yeah, that's right. And you know, a lot of times they do what Warner Brothers has done to, you know, whether they've done it to you guys, you know, to you or to Prince or to, you know, they've done it to so many artists. Broadway producers do the same thing. They get a good project and they sit on it. And if you don't do it the way they want, or this and that, you don't, you know, adhere to their rules or whatever it may be, then it's not going to happen. You know, they'll just have the rights and cut it down to nothing. You know, so you know, at one point I was like, remember how there used to be the NFL and the USFL? Yeah. I was like, okay, there's Broadway. Let's create a whole nother platform. Why we got to be all Broadway? Let's do something else over here that can exist at the same time, but is, you know, really for the artists, you know, to get new artists, get new work, you know.
Doesn't have to adhere to those same Broadway rules of thumb.
Which is, again, about the money. It's that dollar. The producers got all the money and they own all the theaters. Yeah. So, you know, we just got to take control somehow. We got to get Tyler Perry to get his own Broadway theater, you know. Like, build.
I can't have Medea in my musical, though.
No, thank you. Good.
So, just a quick question. Ace, what are there any shows, any musicals that you're drawing inspiration from as you write yours?
Yeah.
No, I'm not, because the same way I do albums, like I don't want to draw inspiration from anybody else's project like that. I've drawn from my own albums. I've drawn, my musical is inspired by the stories on my own albums. So the album on Disposable Art, the story on Disposable Arts, the story on A Long Hot Summer, and the story on my 2016 release, The Falling Season. Those are the 3 albums that my story is based on. The characters and stories on those albums are kind of like all melded together, and I'm telling the story in a weird way. I'm the main character, but that's what the story is. That's where the inspiration is drawn from.
Are you gonna play yourself, or are you gonna have to?
No. I'm just a writer, brother.
Okay.
I'm not a.
How hard is it gonna be to cast yourself?
I don't think it's gonna be that hard. Because the person. To me, the person doesn't have to. And I'm not publicly saying this is me. I'm just saying that the character is kind of based on my life. It's not me. It's not, every aspect of this character's life isn't my life. This character's mom is in prison. My mother was never in prison. So there's some similarities in his journey, but it's not specifically me. It's not autobiographical.
Now, Ace, have your who are you? I'm curious. Who are your favorite MCs growing up? Who are your influences growing up?
Well, growing up, you're talking about the early, when I was first writing rhymes, so when I went to United States of America, in 80, I guess it was 86, to do that contest, Slick Rick was an influence. That's why I told you, my rhyme that I won off of was based off Lottie Dottie. But LL Cool J was an influence. A little bit later, Rakim and Big Daddy Kane. Those are kind of those 4 were the cast that I used as my bar. And, my goal was to try to write rhymes that could at least reach the bar that they were setting. If not surpass it, at least get up there. And that's what you have to do when you're trying to be creative, is you have to look at the highest bar you can find and then try to see if your writing can reach that bar. And so those were kind of there was a lot of other dudes that were dope to me, Chill, Rob G, people like that were dope. But
very dope. Yeah.
Those were the 4 people I named were the people that, when I heard them, it made me write a specific certain type of way. And I fashioned what I was doing based on what they were doing.
Yeah.
Anybody you haven't worked with? Anybody on the list?
As far as MCs or just?
Yeah, MCs, like somebody you think you would make a good song with.
See, I've that's the thing about me. I've never been like the type of artist that, I've never said, I want to do a song with such and such. Let's make a song and feature him. I always create the song first. I get the beat, I listen to the beat, and I say, who would sound ill on this? Or who would fit this record? Like
Smith & Wesson on Brooklyn.
Exactly. Like on my Long Hot Summer album, I got a song with Noid, rapper Noid. I wasn't thinking about, I wasn't like saying, damn, I need to do a song with Noid. Like, let me find a song and do a song with. It didn't happen that way. I heard the beat, I wrote my verse, and I was like, who could bring this home with this, what I'm rapping about? And I was like, Noid is like the perfect voice for this. And I reached out to Noid. Yeah, so I've never been seeking out people to do features without having the music and the idea and the song already kind of, so that's how I find my people I'm gonna work with.
No cold call, like, hey, let's do something like.
Nah, I feel that. People call me like that all the time. Like, yo, we should do something. Okay.
Yeah.
What we doing?
Things that stick out to me, like Go Where I Send Thee, was on the Moving On 12-inch. Was that just like an extra song? Did you record like an extra song to put on the single? Do you remember that, or was it just in the bag already and it just worked out that way?
That actually wasn't my song. That song belonged to some close friends of mine I went to high school with. A group called Eyceurokk.
Right.
My boy Ice, me and Ice was on the football team together, and then his brother Unique.
Mm-hmm.
And Unique was a producer. He actually produced. He produced that album. I mean, he produced that song. He also produced a song on A Long Hot Summer. I mean, I'm sorry. He produced a song on Take a Look Around that Mr. C got credit for.
Okay.
But Unique was a dope ass producer. I would go to their house all the time. They had equipment set up. We would rhyme, make tapes, all of that. But that was one of their songs, like their group song. And I was like, but they didn't have a label. They didn't have any way of being heard at that time. And I was like, yo, this song, let me jump on this and let's make this, and they were like, cool. And that was really their song that they gave me.
See, I'm glad you said that because, I'm glad I asked. As dumb as I feel asking stupid shit, it's like, to me, that was your song. That's the B-side of Moving On, right?
Yeah.
That's where we got that on the single.
Their rhymes were,
and I read credits.
Their rhymes were already done. I added my verse to their song.
That's crazy. The whole beat, everything about that. That was like one of the best things from that little era. But there was nothing in the credits that would make it seem. Nothing led to the point of what you just said. It would just look like.
Because back then we didn't know backstories. We didn't have social media. The people weren't asking those type of questions back then.
Mm-hmm. Right. And now I feel like an idiot for like, hey man.
The big steps, yo.
Right.
Where are the big steps?
Well, I'm still in touch with both of them. One of the big steps, Glaze, he actually raps now and has a couple of records out. He has a song with another artist. The song is called OG Shit. He does the hook, but they're singing over a Busta Rhymes, Swiss beats, New York shit. The Busta Rhymes New York. I'm on the New York shit. Boom, boom. I'm on that New York shit. So they took that groove and they flipped it and they did a song called OG Shit, rapping about, they're all over 40, so they're rapping about they on their OG shit, the style of dress, the parties, whatever. So they got a song and it's actually getting some spins out here and stuff like that. So that's what he's doing now. He's making kind of like party records, and they're actually working on another one that he wants me to jump on with them. They're flipping Dwick, and they want me to jump on there with them around on that.
Why not? Yeah. As I reminisce, right? That's the big, like the end.
That's my joint, yo. That's my favorite song.
That's the song that Unique produced that Mr. C got credit for. I wanted to ask Josh a question, actually.
Yeah.
I was curious.
Okay.
I'm assuming you went to acting school.
Yeah.
And how long did you go to acting school, and how did it turn into a theater career, or was that always what you were studying? Were you always studying theater?
Yeah, no. I mean, it was basically, I do television and film as well, but, to do theater-wise, to do 8 shows a week, you gotta, know how to use your body and stuff like that, because we generally do 8 shows a week. So I went to school for theater, but I went to school for acting specifically, but it wasn't theater. It was really acting is kind of acting in whatever medium you do it. It's just kind of bigger or smaller depending on if there's a camera in front of you or there's, 4,000 people in front of you. So that changed a little bit. School, I went to Temple University in Philly undergrad, and then I went on to grad school to get my Master in Fine Arts at University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. And I've decided at that point, if I had to do it all over again, I probably would not have gone to grad school. My undergrad degree was fine, and I felt like the further I went, the more that people mess with your artistry, too much to some extent.
What do you mean?
As far as school, you've got a lot of teachers, and for where I was, there were a lot of teachers who weren't necessarily working. Like if you go to NYU now, that whole cadre of teachers is actually professionals, and they're working in New York and doing television, film, theater. When I went to grad school, there were a lot of Juilliard, ex-Juilliard people, and there's people who kind of got out of New York City, and that was a school that they were going to. But it was like, no, you're doing it like this. That's not right, And I think to say that's not right is not right. I think you can offer a different way, but you can't like try and take someone's natural skills out of them. You know what I mean? And that's not what should be happening. And I feel like that's what happened on some level. And I've regained a bunch of stuff, but then you go through all the politics of school and, as a grad student who gets scholarships and this and that. I mean, it just got really exhausting.
You feel like grad school? You feel like grad school was a bit of a waste of time?
Only in that there's a lot of programs now like Carnegie Mellon. If my kid was going to go to school now, I'd say go to Juilliard or Carnegie Mellon or maybe possibly Temple University. But my favorite program is Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh. Just their BFA programs. And they're basically giving you everything you need in an undergraduate degree. But the master's degree allows you to go on and teach college and to do other things. So that's the main thing. And I do have some classmates that went on and are, heads of programs in colleges and things like that. Following the kind of educational route, academia was not for me. It's not what I wanted to do. I just feel like I wanted to get all the tools that I could into my toolbox and then just be able to pick them out whenever I needed them,
I have a lot of respect for actors. That's why when sometimes people will say like, why don't you act in it or try acting? I watch enough good actors, and when I see good acting, I know right away I can't do that. Like what they're doing right now, that's a talent. That's not, that's like telling somebody, yo, just rap. You can rap.
See, I think that's the difference too, is that you can't teach talent. You can't teach it. You either have the talent or you don't. You can teach the technique. You can teach somebody to rap. You can teach somebody to speak fast. They're not going to have they might not have the talent to do it. You can teach somebody to be a ballet dancer or be a physician or, a doctor, but not to go to that doctor. You want to go to that one. You know what I mean? Because they're naturally talented at it. Like they have the talent, and that can't be taught. What you have can't be taught. You can explain it to people. But to actually, you can teach them the technique of it, but to have the talent to do it is a whole other thing. There's a ton of music out there now, and everybody can make it at home on their daggone computer now without very little musical skill. It doesn't mean it's going to be good, and it doesn't mean you're going to be a success in the business, because that's a whole other set of skills. And so, the talent cannot be taught, my brother. You just got it.
I got to ask you one more thing.
Yeah.
Good acting or good writing? Which trumps which?
Oh man. Well, first of all, hopefully there's a synergy, and the writing helps to elevate the good acting. You know what I mean? So that it can become like just this synthesis where you can't tell. And I definitely have found that for myself, that there's some, like, you get a script and some scripts just lay in your mouth better. You could just say them, like they come out. It's almost natural, just the way the writing is.
Yeah.
And that makes me a better actor when the writing is strong like that, and I think when you get a bad actor, I don't think your script will elevate even them to the point where you're like, okay, it's only going to go so far. You're only going to get so much from them. That you need somebody else who's able to go beyond where they are, so that you're both together, like the words, the dialogue and the acting, the physical, the feeling is all there together, and they're really together. They rise and fall together.
So one doesn't elevate the other. They really have to be in synergy for it to work.
I think so, but clearly the writing has to come first, because there is no actor without the writing. So I think if you were going to pick one to trump the other, let's not use Trump, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That Trump card thing, it's got to go. It's got to become something else, man.
We'll figure it out. But I think the writing.
But it's natural to say that.
Yeah, no, I know. But I think the writing would come first. If I really had to pick, thinking about it, it has to, because the actor doesn't have a job without the words. There's no music without the words. Well, I shouldn't say that. You could,
I guess what I'm asking is if the writing isn't up to snuff, can good acting elevate the story anyway?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you could probably go look at some movies out there that are like, you're like, this movie is terrible, but that dude hits it. You know what I mean? Like, and there's a lot of that where you're like, damn, like, what is this? There's a lot of material out there. There's a lot. And some of it you're like, okay, this piece is interesting. The writing's not the best, but that guy is really good. Or that girl's really good. Like they hook into it, however they hook into it. Like when you look at Taraji P. Henson and she does her thing and you're like, this writing is terrible, but she's insane. That girl's crazy. And she just lays it out.
I don't watch Empire. Sorry.
It's too close to home.
Can't watch it.
Yeah. But I mean, just in other projects that she does, I'm just throwing her out there. I mean, there's a lot, because she does so many things that are like good writing, bad writing. There's a white dude who's been out there for a long time named Brendan Fraser. He's in like The Mummy. He has that franchise. And he did like Encino Man or something stupid back in the 80s or 90s, whatever that was. And he's done so many things throughout his career that I've admired his choices of like literally playing George of the Jungle, like Watch Out for That Tree, like the live version, to like The Mummy, to like getting an Oscar nomination for this profound like piece. Like he just has done like everything.
Wow.
And I found him really interesting because if he's in a piece that's not well written, he's terrible. It's terrible. If he's in a piece that's well written, it's really good. I think he was in a piece called Gods and Monsters, and he was amazing in that because the writing elevated him. So he plays to wherever the writing is. He doesn't complicate. He is wherever the writing is, that's where he is. Whereas if you get a cat like Jeffrey Wright, who has been around a long time, or Don Cheadle, they will like create something special out of nothing.
Yeah. I've seen Don Cheadle do that.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I didn't mean to take over you guys' show. I'm sorry, baby.
Nah. This is what it's here for. Like, we were hoping this was going to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. This was the idea as far as we thought the two of you together sounded like on paper like good synergy, and I'm happy that you're having a conversation, because I feel like
it's cool.
What I just said.
Cool.
So Ace, go ahead, Ace, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I've been, since I've been writing this musical, which is going on 2 years, I guess. I find myself paying a lot closer attention to actors in pieces, whether it's theater or television or movie, and I just find I think I've always paid attention to acting, but I'm paying even more attention to it now, and I find myself, now that have written a script, I find myself listening to the actors deliver the lines, and I'm picturing the words on the paper as they're saying it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm almost, whatever the screen direction is, I'm picturing, walks out of room, fade to black. Like I'm doing that in my head.
Yeah. And
so I really feel like I'm transitioning into this new world gradually, but I'm headed there, and I'm looking forward to this next journey.
Yeah, I mean, I think also once you find kind of like maybe one or two directors whose work you kind of hook into, or maybe a choreographer. I mean, there's a ton of choreographers out there. If there's going to be dance to it, I would assume. But there's people who can not make it look so Broadway-y. You know what I mean? Because that's always my fear. Like any piece, and I'm kind of fledgling writing myself. But the pieces that I have written, I'm like, but I don't want this to be Broadwayified. Like, I don't want it to be thing. Like, I want it to have a real life and not to have an imprint of something that it's supposed to be. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I wanted to have a real, honest life. And there's, those choreographers like Ricky Tripp and all these people out there who are coming up, and they're not young. They've been around. They've been performing for a long time, but they know how to do stuff in a contemporary way that really like is beautiful and right in their heartbeat.
I appreciate it, man.
How often can you go off script? Do you feel like that's something you're allowed to do, or is that frowned upon? Like, did you kind of embellish a little bit, or is it like word for word?
In Hamilton?
Yes. Well, Hamilton, yeah, that's probably like, you got to hit the lines, right?
Once that beat is going, that train is left, man. You got to stay on.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I get it.
I'm curious, Ace, have you ever seen Hamilton?
No, I've only seen excerpts on YouTube, but it's about to actually be on Disney Channel,
Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Yes.
Plus.
Yeah.
And I will be watching that because I really want to absorb the whole thing. I was never ready to pay those prices though, so I would have seen it already, but those prices
I wasn't either. It was a very special gift to my wife. I was like, it's $500 for 2 tickets, okay?
Yeah, I wasn't ready to do it.
I'd rather have a nice dinner.
So I work at PPAC in Providence, and I worked with Josh because his tour came through for 3 weeks, and I had the pleasure and the honor to meet Josh and watch him perform for 3 weeks. And the show changed my life in the same way that hearing your first album changed my life, the same way that hearing Public Enemy, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back changed my life. And it truly does live up to the hype. I hate to be that person where I'm just like a fanboy, but the show is really that amazing. But I just wanted to say one thing to Josh, is that so we worked the show for 3 weeks. Our youngest was able to come in and watch the show, so it's an important thing for our family, that show. And whenever we're on a long trip, we always play that soundtrack in the car because it's something that we all love. And I just want to say that even though the soundtrack of the original Broadway cast is very dope, the tour that Josh was on, the Angelica tour, their interpretation of that whole show is so much more powerful than the original recording. And I just wanted to salute Josh because he's a truly talented performer. And going back to there was a question that was asked earlier where they asked you, like, and you kind of talked about like the 4 MCs that were in your head when you wrote the rhyme that you won that contest on. I feel like if seeing Hamilton would be a good look, but also there's one other play I think you should watch because it's magical. It's called The Band's Visit. So the Band's Visit is a play that it's very profound, and not only its soundtrack is like it won a lot of awards for its soundtrack because it's that dope, but also just the lighting on that show is
it hip hop based?
No, it's more like a modern day Fiddler on the Roof.
Okay.
But but like the use of lighting in that show is like, it's so.
You mean aesthetically, like the look of it?
It's so next level, like how they flip that show. So like, I know that you don't want to, like, I know that you said that you don't necessarily want to watch other stuff and have it change what you're doing, but I think that in the same way that that you saw these other MCs and you're like, that's what's dope. I think that in the sense that those two shows could really bring a whole bunch of crazy ideas to what you're trying to do.
Well, you're talking about also all the stuff that is, again, doesn't fit the Broadway thing, like Hadestown, which is a newer one. They don't fit the traditional Broadway thing, and they have had massive success. Hamilton, Band's Visit, Hadestown is the newest one. To like just really just shake up what is the, okay, stand up, now we do a scene, and now we sing, and now we dance, and now, people are really trying to shake that whole thing up, and it's working because people listen and they pay attention.
That's needed.
Yeah, it's very needed.
Yep, being that change.
Yeah.
Yep.
My phone battery's on 10% or less than 10%.
It feels right. It feels right.
Yeah.
I just want to say I appreciate you both for being here. I can't even put into words.
Thanks, Ace.
Thanks,
How
man.
this
Thank
is
you.
a huge opportunity for me, and I appreciate it because like I'm a huge fan. Thank you so much. I love you.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, same for me. I kind of lost my energy a little bit. Like, wow, you did what you set out to do. I've been planning this for 2 weeks, and I just want to thank both of you. It was nice to meet you, Josh. I look forward to, you know, if your two worlds can clash in some way, and that'd be amazing. You know what I mean? Again, it was nice to connect those dots and be able to kind of, you know, all this stuff. I thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Are you on Instagram? Are you on Instagram, Josh?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, the real Josh Tower.
The real Josh Tower. All right, bet.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Brothers, thank you so much. It's been an honor.
Thank you.
All right, Jay.
Thanks, Ace. All right, Jason.
All right, fellas. Thank you.